Hello and welcome back to your South King County Real Estate Update. My name is Sarah Eggleston with Stone Egg Realty at John L. Scott, and I am back to deliver your local real estate news for the week. Go ahead and jump right on into it. And today is November 11th, 2022. Happy Veterans Day. Happy Blue Friday. Got my colors on. Seahawks did take away a win last week against the Cardinals, and hopefully they can do that again this week against the Buccaneers. It is the very first NFL game to be played in Germany. So they will be in Munich, and the game will air here at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm not 100% sure if I will be tuning in or not. I'm going to try. But we'll see if it works out schedule wise. Otherwise, I'll have to catch the highlights later. But that is pretty exciting to see American football expanding around the world. That's kind of fun to see. And what happened this week? So this week, I did take some clients out on some showings throughout the region. There was some all in Pierce County. So we headed down south and saw a few homes, and it was really interesting to see the way that homes are being presented right now, because there's the homes that are selling quickly are those that are priced appropriately and well presented, vacant, staged, really well presented, bringing your good foot forward. There were some homes that you could see that they tried, but didn't quite master the whole presentation aspect of things. And there was a couple one of them that I'm not sure if they even really tried, but it just is interesting to see which homes are sitting on the market. And there's one home that I know will probably go quickly that we saw this weekend. There's another one for sure that I think is going to sit there for a while unless they drop the price. So we'll see what happens with those, see if I'm right, and keep an eye on that. But it is really interesting to see some of the homes poorly presented right now, because that's not really the way to sell a home in today's market. So I'll go ahead and jump into the slides because there is some really interesting stuff to cover today. Seattle area homes linger on the market as higher rates hit buyers' power. So this came out on Monday. The last national headline to come out regarding mortgage rates. Prior to this, the rates had just ticked down below 7%, but they were right around 7% right before this article came out. There is a lot of stuff going on with interest rates, which we will dive into shortly, but the Fed is trying to slow inflation, which has been out of control, and it is more expensive to borrow money now than it was even 6 months ago, quite a bit more expensive. And these rising interest rates are making it difficult on some home buyers that would like to purchase homes. They're just deciding to take a step back, wait for interest rates to come down, and see if that increases their purchasing power. 38% fewer pending single-family homes in King County in October than last year. So there are just fewer deals happening right now than there were a year ago. And you can see these home prices. King County, a year ago, we had a median average sales price of just shy of $825, and now we're up to $903. That is down from right around $1 million that we had in May. So we have come down quite a bit from May, but we are still up from where we were a year ago. And compared to January, we're up even more. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming months there and see where we end the year at. So the slowdown definitely began this summer. The days on market have increased in the vast majority of areas. Seattle houses took 17 days to sell in September. In Bellevue, it went up 18 days longer to 24 days on market. So you can definitely see the market shifting there. From the peak in May, King County home prices were down 10%, but they're still up about 10% year over year. 10% increase year over year is still fantastic. It's just not the 18% or whatever it would have been otherwise. If we look at condos and home sales, these are broken apart into single family and condos. For Southwest King County, for home sales, we were down 47.3% in the amount of home sales, but increased 3.5% in price. For Southeast King County, we're down 40% on pending sales, but up almost 2% in price. So definitely not the 20% year over year that we saw last year, but that was crazy, right? So that's not sustainable. And the fact that home prices are coming back down a little bit is not that surprising because they got a little overinflated during the heat of the market. For condos in Southwest King County, the pending sales are down just shy of 38%. For Southeast King County, it's down 53% for the number of sales. Southeast King County was flat on pricing for year over year, and Southwest King County rose 7.4% year over year. So as homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer, sellers are looking to sell their homes. There are some sellers that just need to sell, and they are willing to lower their prices, maybe take some buyer favorable terms that they may not have been willing to do a year ago. So we have definitely seen some sellers that are like, no, this is not the market for me. I want to wait until things are a little more secure. So they're holding off on selling if they don't have to sell right now. But those that do have to sell, if they're priced right and well presented, they will still sell quickly. But there's just fewer homes coming to market right now. And sellers that are listing their homes can expect their home to sit on the market just a little bit longer than it would have in recent markets. Nationally, it takes about 39% of the median household income for a mortgage. In Seattle, as of September, it took 50%. So this is due to the higher interest rates and our higher priced homes in this area. So you can see this is not really a sustainable market for entry level buyers. The fact that home prices have softened a little bit is really a good thing for a lot of buyers out there because there's way less competition. You may pay a little bit more in the meantime, but you'll be able to refinance within a couple of years. And the monthly payment for a typical home in Seattle is now more than $4,000 a month, 71.5% higher than a year ago, according to Zillow. So this stat is pretty shocking, but don't let that scare you, because there are so many silver linings for buyers out there. This came from the Northwest MLS. Motivated home buyers are turning to creative financing options. So I just threw a couple quotes in here. We already went through the stats, so I didn't pull those out. But buyers are benefiting from more choices in inventory and less competition, while sellers are more negotiable when it comes to contingencies. We're seeing more 2-1 buy downs and adjustable rate mortgages, with buyers planning to refi when the rates come back down. And then here's another quote. There is no doubt the market has changed, with higher interest rates being the main culprit. My fear is that buyers who take this approach may miss out on the perfect home, as some fantastic properties have come on the market that have had sellers who are determined to sell and move on. This is what I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, but I'm not the only one. This shows that there's a lot of agents and brokers around the area that are really seeing the positive side for buyers. As for the interest rate elephant in the room, the time has come for buyers and sellers to revisit financing methods from previous markets. So they mentioned buy downs, adjustable rate loans, carrying back second deeds of trust, and closing cost allowances as possible options. So closing cost allowances, you can get the seller to donate money back to the buyer to pay closing costs, which could involve a rate buy down or any sort of the costs associated with closing. There's a lot of negotiation with the seller and the buyer to get the seller to cover some of those costs. The recent past, when buyers encountered multiple offer situations and not being able to get into a property because they were outbid, that is not the market we are in anymore. We are seeing sellers who are concerned about further rate increases come to the market now to beat the traditional buildup during the first of the year and in the spring. With less competition, now is the time to get into the market. So if we look at showing traffic, we can see that we do have a depressed buyer demand. We have dropped away from where we were in 2021 and 2020 pretty early in the year and have been trailing the buyer demand since then, but we have kind of stabilized, it looks like, on buyer traffic. I do expect to see these dips that we have in previous years for Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's time. And if we bring it to our local stat minute, you can see we did tick down in new listings, pendings, and solds since last week. 482 new listings, 553 pendings, and 478 sold. So we are trailing off, which is exactly what we'd expect to see this time of year heading into the winter. For our local area breakouts, in every area, we had more pendings than new listings, as well as more price reductions than new listings. So we're just not seeing a ton come to market right now. There's a lot of sellers that don't want to move during the holiday season, so they're not going to list their home right now. Like I said, there's some buyer anxiety over what may happen with interest rates in the future or demand in the future, and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to hold off. All areas, they vary a little bit in percentages of what's happening here, but overall, there's just fewer new listings coming to all areas in our region. And last week, our weekly average mortgage rate dipped below 7%, but by Friday, it was up to 7.29. This week, the headline is that we are back above 7%. It rose to 7.08 from 6.95 last week on the weekly average mortgage rate. But if we bring it to today's interest rates, woo, look at this. This is actually yesterday's interest rates because today's Veterans Day, so we don't get new rates today. 6.62. This has come down significantly, hasn't it? So what is going on here? It was the record single day drop in interest rates after inflation comes in cooler. So we got our consumer price index numbers, and they expected the month-to-month change on pricing to be about 0.6%, and it was half that. It was 0.3. So this is significantly better than all the projections had suggested. So we did get the Fed raising rates last week, and then the CPI came out and it was much better than expected. So right now we'll see how the Fed adjusts at their next meeting, but this is fantastic news. And what happened in the markets? So yeah, here's the forecast was to come in at 5. Last month it was at 0.6, and the actual CPI was 0.3 for the month-to-month change. Stocks went up, 10-year bond yields went down, and this is exactly what we want to see for great interest rates, is this 10-year yield. And it was the biggest day-over-day drop in the 10-year yield since 2009. So this shows the change up and down per day since 2009. And we have had a bigger one in 2009, but this is the biggest price reduction drop in the 10-year yield in a single day for a very long time. And what about mortgage rates? That is a great question. And they had a really great day. It was the best day on record. The record only goes back to 2009, but this drop here, biggest daily drop on record for this number. And our weekly average mortgage rate is in the orange here. So it came out yesterday saying that we were over 7. But if we look at our daily on the blue, it has dropped significantly. So as usual, our Freddie Mac weekly survey is just lagging data. And have a fantastic Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all the veterans out there. I hope you get a chance to honor a veteran today if you are not one yourself. And if you are, thank you so much for your service. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My phone number and email address are on the screen there. I would love to have a conversation with you about the real estate market in your area or an area you're interested in moving to. I'd love to hear what your questions are and maybe have a little conversation around those. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back here next Friday at 3 p.m. with your local real estate news, or national if that is the pressing matter, as in the interest rate stuff today. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Go Hawks on Sunday in Germany. And I will see you next week. Have a good one.